to Shotcallers. I'm Dennis Postema, your host, and I am here with Brett Wagner. He is the owner and founder of Wagner Metals, among other companies. And we're very excited to, I just met Brett a few weeks ago, and we've been working together. I'm very excited to chat with you today. Thank you for coming and being on the show, Brett.
Absolutely.
So just kind of going to delve into it, I guess. How did you get into, let's actually start from the beginning.
Okay.
When was it that you decided, when did you get your first paycheck and from a corporate company? When did you start working? How old were you?
I would have been 15, and I actually started for a roofing company.
Okay.
It's been my entire life. I got sent out to a job. I can remember plain as day. My first lesson was get your hands out of your pocket. You look like you're not doing anything.
Okay.
There's always something to do. And I remember that to this day. So I'm leery about it. I'll be out on a job site or something talking to somebody. I'll put my hands in my pocket and I'm like, oh, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, at least look like you're doing something, you know. It was an extremely rough job. Back then, roofers were a little bit different. They were not nice to me.
Right.
I was not allowed on the roof because of my age. So I was in charge of cleanup.
Yeah.
So these guys would tear off an entire roof, and it was my responsibility to clean the whole thing up. I mean, they would go sit in a truck. They would go get beer and sit there and watch me while screaming at me, you know what I mean? So.
And I'm sure they weren't gentle. They didn't throw it in like a nice pile for you or anything like that, right?
No, they didn't care because it was my responsibility,
right.
You know. So, needless to say, you get a heck of a work ethic by doing that. I mean, they were ruthless.
Right.
Stuff you don't necessarily get away with these days, you know. But to learn from them to where we are now, I tell these guys all the time, you know, the backstory. Like, I come from the old school,
right.
roofing, regardless of my age, whatever. So, yeah, that was a tough lesson to learn. But, yeah.
It's one of those amazing things, too, because I essentially come from the old school, too. And, you know, going through it, it's not exactly fun going through it, but you appreciate it so much later on when you become an entrepreneur and you look at it now versus what you were, like, what was going on then. And, I mean, we're not that old, you know. And, you know, we're pretty much the same age. And to think of what, at 15, what was the norm in those atmospheres. But yeah, I always appreciate, you know, learning the grit and whatnot too, because it stays with you.
Right.
You know, you're not afraid to work then. So.
Yeah, and it's something you can tell other people, you know.
Right.
We talked, we were supposed to start a project this morning, we voted, they didn't want to do it. So needless to say, me at 15, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
So, and my old boss, he was mean as all get out, and I appreciate it so much today. But yeah.
That's excellent. That's awesome. So when did you start getting, you know, when did you start developing this itch, so to speak, as far as when were you allowed to get on a roof, and then when did you develop this? Tell us a little bit about the story, how you transformed from the guy who's picking up the roofing and whatnot off the ground to now all of a sudden I'm working for somebody else, I'm doing a job, and then into entrepreneurship. So kind of give us a background there.
I kept kind of sneaking my way up there when the owner wasn't around, you know, trying to learn as much as possible. And as I went, I actually became a pretty good roofer. That's where it started. And I loved it because the work was just physically demanding. You know, it was hard. There's not a lot of thought into it, you know, when you get, and even nowadays, I would almost prefer some of my days just to go work on a roof, you know. It's
not all the
relaxing.
scenes.
You know?
Right, yeah.
People don't understand that, but so anywho, I continued to roof up until I graduated high school. I went to college and roofed full time while I was there.
Okay.
So I was in the trade forever, and I really enjoyed it for whatever reason. I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. But,
there you go.
I was pretty close to graduating college, and my boss, who I started with, gave me a call and said, "Hey, I got a job for you." Okay. So I came back, and the day I came back, he threw me into a foreman role. So he demoted the existing foreman, who had been there forever.
Okay.
Gave me his job, sent him with me. So talk about getting thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, gosh, I bet that was an enjoyable trip.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. He sat behind me, you know, even better yet. So I was scared. I was nervous. You know, I had never ran a job, a crew, anything like that. it worked out really well, but with that, I really quickly transitioned into sales. I had the gift of gab. I wasn't pushy. Still not to this day.
Right.
I'm more helpful than anything.
Right.
I don't even consider myself a sales guy.
Yeah.
You got to have sales, or you're not going to do anything. But as I started to do that, I gained some traction. I loved it. You know, I loved being able to help people, especially in the small community that we're at.
Right.
It's awesome, and to most homeowners are uneducated. So with the experience of me working on the job for so long, I was really able to educate them.
Right.
When I first started with the sales, I was so, the mentality of a roofer, I would explain the roof to him too much. I mean, I had a guy actually, I drove by his house and he did it himself. I explained it too damn well.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah.
So at the time, my boss was like, I gotta kind of break you this. So I did a little bit of sales training. And from there, it was on.
Yeah.
I got into the production side and the safety side. So I had all this other knowledge,
Yeah.
you know, and at this point in time, I had worked for 4 or 5 companies, seen how they were ran,
And you're really learning every aspect of the business, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
from each thing from sales to production to, you know, how to actually do it, which you started, you know,
Yeah.
from when you were 15. Okay.
Yeah. It was natural. It just kept going, you know, and I was beyond fortunate. The owner of the company was like a mentor to me.
Yep.
For all these years, I spent so much time with him, and I really got the idea.
Yeah.
You know, I got the gist of what was going on. So yeah.
Yeah. The thing about mentors, I actually want to touch on 2 points there. I'll start with the sales aspect. So many people say that they're not in sales, and the thing about sales is we're all in sales. I mean, you know, you had to tell your wife that you were a good pick, and vice versa, right? You know, so we're all in sales, and really the big thing about that is if you have to have belief in your product and what you're out there going and doing, and when you have that and you have the education, I'm like you, whereas that's when the books come into play and whatnot. If you can educate your potential client, now all of a sudden, it's worth the value in that, and you're not really selling, you're just showing value of what you can do, and all of a sudden the sale is made. I think that's what's nice about, you know, when you're educated and you're educating others in that.
Yeah. So when you've got the confidence, you already know it's going to happen. So sales realistically to me is a transfer of emotion.
Yeah.
And that part of it's always been easy for me because I believed in what we were doing.
Right.
Whether it be for another company or even now more with my own company. I believe that we're the best out there.
Right.
You know, and I never second guess that. Because at the end of the day, the buck stops at me.
Right.
So I can control every aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know, all these guys are still hourly employees. We're not subbing out work. I don't like to give up that control because that's where things can happen, the quality, and so forth. So the sales part, realistically, I'm a salesman, I guess.
Sure.
But that being said, you know, it's something I believe in. I can control. So it's easy.
Yeah. Would you say that that's really what sets you apart, as far as, you know, what does set your company apart? Like, if you notice, what are some of the general characteristics that you know that your company does now better through your experiences than others?
I think our culture is the biggest
Okay.
thing. And that's something that starts with me. I've always believed in doing business the way I would want somebody to do business with my mom.
Yep.
You know, simple.
Absolutely.
I don't want somebody going out there and selling her something that she don't need.
Right.
And I'm the same way. I mean, there's so many instances that I've went out and this older lady has 5 estimates. You know, they're telling her, oh my God, you need to replace your roof. And I'm the only one that goes out there and says, well, here's $1,200. Here's a repair.
Yeah.
And you're good for 10 years, you know. So, oh my gosh. But that is just about creating customers for life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not that initial sale and being done.
Yeah.
Like, I want her to be a customer, her kids or grandkids, you know, brothers and sisters. So
it goes back to the people who are really truly best in their business is they have the help not sell approach.
yeah,
If you're helping somebody, now all of a sudden they believe in your product, you're helping them get to where they need to be, and instead of selling them something they don't need, later on, when that rough 10 year, may be 10 years,
yeah.
or maybe whatever, 5 years, when they need something done, they're probably not going to go get those 5 other quotes next time.
Yeah.
They're going to come directly to the person who was honest with them from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great difference maker. Is there anything else that you want to share that sets you apart that you feel is really, that you're passionate about it as far as that goes?
My team.
Yeah.
My team, so at one point in time, so I got a little bit of a story here, and my wife will disagree, but at one point in time, you know, when I was early on in starting the business, I was working all these crazy hours, middle of the night, stuff like this, that people don't see.
Right.
You know? But that's what I was doing. I was hell-bent. I was not going to fail, you know.
Right.
I could not admit that.
I get that.
So she had said, "Are you going to do this forever?" Clear as day. And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And she's like, "This ain't gonna work." You know, so I had to look a little back and deeper. And there's no way that I was going to get the success I strive for by myself.
Right.
So that was kind of the part that I started forming a team. You
Gotcha.
know, people to take these little tasks away from me to free up time so I could work on the business instead of in the business.
Yeah.
And
also
then,
probably focus on your strengths a little bit and kind of dish out those weaknesses. That's a difference maker for me at least.
yeah,
So.
yeah. Ask my office manager. She's been around forever. Like I've told her, you know, I'm not good at I'm not super organized.
Right.
Organize me. You know, I'm not going to work on it. I'm at this age. Had some success. Like, can you help me? Just fix it. So she does. And one of the other things that I was taught, like I've got these little points in my life that somebody told me something that really set it off. And actually my father-in-law at the time asked me, he was like, "Are you creating a job or starting a business?" And I was like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
You know? So I thought about it for a couple of days, and I'm like, I got it, you know,
Yeah.
I got this. So that's, you know, as I was creating this team and this culture, they had to fit with the way that I wanted to do business.
Yeah.
We're in smaller communities. It needs to be extremely personal.
Yeah.
And honest. Honesty is the key.
Yeah.
Don't ever sell them something they don't need.
Right.
Don't give them some bullshit story about this, that, or the other. It's not it. There's other companies, if that's the way you want to do business, that come in and browbeat you for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Get out of my house. Like,
Yeah.
If you can't get some comfort out of what I've got to say in an hour, and I can't get you to where you wanted to go, then I'm not doing my job. You know.
And I believe that, I don't mean to interrupt you, I believe that with, it's really any type of business as far as that. Your competitors, you see the ones out there who are, I'm going to make as much money in as short a period of time as I can, and let everything, let everything fall the way it falls.
Right.
And the problem with that is that's not a sustainable business, whereas if you go in there, you give them the honest truth, and yeah, you may make half as much as the next guy on a job, but who do you think they're going to do their business with? Same thing in my industry and anybody's industry. They're going to come back to you. The referrals and the repeat business is always going to be yours because you're building a sustainable business, not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to that customers for life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to walk a small community, and I don't want to walk into a grocery store and somebody's mad at me because I sold them something they didn't need.
Absolutely.
Like, that's crazy. I've got 2 3.5-year-old daughters that are going to go to school. Like,
Right.
I want them. Oh, your dad was awesome. You know, they put on my roof, blah blah blah. You know, so people ask, you know, what about your competition? What about your competition? And I don't believe we have any.
Yeah.
You know, which may sound funny. You get a crooked eye when you tell people that, but I'm not about that. You know, winners chase winning.
Right.
So I'm not here for that. I'm here to set the standard.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, the fire in my belly does not allow for what so-and-so's doing down the road. I think that we're better. And I've said in videos on Facebook, whatever, if you don't at least give us a call, whether we're right for you or not, you're doing yourself an injustice.
Right.
Even to call and ask, what should I look for in a contractor?
There you go.
You see these business cards pop up everywhere.
Right.
So somebody that's helped their uncle do 5 roofs can print a business card, you know, and it's unfortunate in the state of Ohio you don't need a license.
Right.
You know, it would weed out a bunch.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, it's just, to me, it's about outworking everybody to set the standard.
And I see that with really all successful companies, is they're not as much worried about what their competitors doing. They're more worried about, no, let's focus on us. What can we do better?
Yeah.
How can we be the best at what we do? And the other things just kind of fall into place. You don't have to worry about, oh, well, our competitor down the road. Who cares? Are we focusing on the best? Because you can go backwards by focusing on what your competitor's doing. You want to go out there and dominate your competitor by being the best company that you can be and doing what's right all the time. And I love that, because that's really how you build a successful foundation.
Right. I mean, if you're chasing, why do you want to chase somebody?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I was in track, I ain't chasing somebody around, you know? And
You
I
wanna
thought
be in
about
front,
this.
right?
Yeah, I thought about this morning, you know, about boxing. You get in a ring with somebody, it's not about competition. Like, I want to knock you out.
Yeah.
That's plain and
That's
simple,
right.
you know? And I think that's the attitude that you have to have.
Yeah.
You know, if you're subtle about it and kind of hem-haul around, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, let's go.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. So, I do want to touch back on mentors, because you mentioned it, and we've talked a little bit about this before. I had a great mentor in my industry when we started, and you talking about a mentor. He was, I was 20 years old when I started in financial industry, and you know, just kind of from that aspect, he told me just shut up and listen, and I did. I was naive enough. I'm like, well, you know, I see what he's doing, and I like that image. What can I do to do that? And he said, just shut up and listen. And sure enough, that's what I did. But mentors, I think so many people try to go at it alone, and the big successful people that I've always seen, they all have a mentor or mentors around them that help them get to that level quicker.
Right.
And that's the easiest way. And you have to have a good group too. You have to hang out with like-minded people. You know, you're really the average of your 5 friends, or the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
You're the average of that, and you're also the average income of those 5 people.
Right.
So if you want to step up your income, you need to make sure that you're evaluating that every so often. So I really love the mentor aspect.
You know, I've never been afraid to ask questions or advice, you know, because when I started, I was young. I was 20-something, full of piss and vinegar, didn't have no direction. I was going to do it. There's no way in hell I was going to fail, you know, like, let's go. Had no clue what I was doing, you know. I didn't think it out, you know. It was one of my biggest mistakes, you know. As we got going, I took every dollar I had, you know, went and bought this roll former. I was going to install metal, blah, blah. I never accounted for, well, I got to have an inventory.
Right.
You know, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, so all these failures, you know, and I'm learning and not sleeping and working way too hard. It all kind of pushed me along, you know, to settle down a little bit, backtrack and make a plan. So I made a plan. I made my business plan after I started the business.
Yeah. No, I got it. Trust me, I know. Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. And I had people before why I was talking about getting ready to start. What's your business plan? I'm gonna kill it.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
What the hell?
I love this because, and we're going to get more into that. I love this because that's, you know, people don't see a lot of those things as far as, I remember, you know, I do the books kind of once a week, kind of see our tally and where we're at. And because with different advertising and everything else, you got to know where you're at. It used to be, I'd get on the online banking and be like, oh, hey, there's X number of dollars in here, I suppose I can spend it. And that's how I did it. Fortunately, it worked out, but, you know, as you grow as an entrepreneur, you kind of realize these things. You know, I probably should make sure that that's going to be there when that bill comes out. So, but that's funny you say that. And
yeah, you like sweet bank account's good. Oh, I forgot about the credit card bill.
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
Or 5 checks in cash or something like that. You know, you had no tally on it. Yeah.
That's so the smartest thing I ever did there, and I did this from the very beginning. And still today, like, I'm not going to suck this company dry. I'm not going to be greedy about it. And when I started, money was not my motivation.
Right.
And people
Absolutely.
were like, bullshit. Like, no, it wasn't. I was going to be the best that I could be, do what I said I was going to do. Everything else follows.
Yeah.
You know, so as we went, we had always been financially stable.
Yeah.
I've never missed payroll, stuff like I've lost sleep over it, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but I've never missed any of these things. So I was just taking out of it what I needed to live
Yeah.
for the time being. And it's same today.
Yeah.
And regardless if people believe you or not, who cares? But I can show you.
Yeah, yeah. No, we talked about it the other day. All successful companies that I've seen, they're really putting a large chunk. I know, like when I started, my first 3 years, and even now is a huge percentage, but my first 3 years for sure, 90% of everything I made was going back into the company, advertising.
Right.
And right now, it's constantly going back into how can I improve this, how can I make it a better client experience, putting the money back in, you know. And I think that's one of the things. People think that entrepreneurs they have a passion of where they can help people, and the money's going to come later on as long as you do what you're supposed to and do what's right. And I think you see that.
Yeah.
So that's really neat. So what are some of the other benefits you think that come as being an entrepreneur or business leader in your?
My schedule.
Yeah.
My schedule's huge to me.
Yeah.
I've got a family, wife, 2 daughters who, you know, I cherish. I absolutely adore them all, and it's important for me. My day is generally done at 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I get 3 hours with my girls every night. We cook supper, we play, we go to bed.
Yeah.
If I need to, I can get back up and go back to work, whatever. As we get busy, sometimes, you know, I'll have a couple late days, and that's fine. It's necessary.
Right.
But the other thing is, I control my destiny.
Right.
You know, there's no ceiling. People ask, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" I'm like, I don't have a clue. But as long as that fire, that grit, that motivation is still there, I'm just going to keep going.
Absolutely.
You know, we've got these 2 other divisions that I'm starting right now. Wagner Metal Sales, a full service roll forming company, which is cool. We've got a window line coming out, Life Tight Windows by Wagner Metals. So the brand is growing.
Yeah.
So I don't believe there's any stopping, you know, and we go through this with my team all the time. They're like, I come running in the office or the conference room in the morning, and they're sitting there, and they're looking at me like, oh shit, like what's he got brewing now? I'm like, hey, I got this idea, you know, and they follow suit. I keep them hopping,
Yeah.
and they generally start working on it right now.
Right.
You know, so they'll tell me I'm done before I ever realized it a lot of times, but a lot of other times they're like, it's a good idea.
And the thing I love about that is, and I talk to a lot of my coaching clients about this, and you bring it up there. One of my quotes that I always say is, imagine what you can achieve if you accomplish all that you're capable of.
Yeah.
You know, if you can sit down and honestly look in the mirror, are you accomplishing, you know, even 2/3 of what you could possibly accomplish? You know, people say, oh, you do this. And I love that you stay grounded with, you know, we knew each other for 2 days before, and after 2 days I knew that you family was important for you to get home at 6,
Right.
kept you grounded, made sure that you put that time towards it. Those are all important things that us as entrepreneurs get lost in the mix of things sometimes when we're starting out, especially, and forget about all those other important things, but realize later on, you know, if you can have that too, you can have your cake and eat it too.
Right.
You need to build a good team. You need to continue to be able to have repeat business by doing your job well. So,
yeah, it's that time management thing is a killer, you know, and I work on it all the time, but now my time is so valuable. Especially during the day, I don't have time to sit around and chit chat.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. It's not being rude, but I need to be productive.
Right.
Because when I go home, that's time to not be productive.
Yeah.
I want to say unwind, but twin girls is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely important. I mean, you got to have a little bit of everything, I think.
Well, I talk to my team about it all the time. You're giving 110% at whatever you're doing. When you're at home at 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock with your girls, you're giving 110% to them. When you're at work, you're giving 110% to them. I've had this talk at least 3 times with my team in the last month.
Yeah.
Is, you know, you see those people who go to the gym, okay?
Right.
And they're sitting there, they're texting, and then they're BSing with the guy about whatever, and they're talking, and then they'll put in a couple reps, and then they're back to BSing.
Yeah.
My brother Tom and I, we always, whenever we go and work out, we're pounding the pavement.
Yeah.
And then you look at these guys, and their workout has to be, it doesn't just count when you show up at the gym.
Yeah.
And I always tell my workers that, I said, if you're going to go to the gym, give it 110%. Don't go there and slack.
Right.
It's just the same thing with work, with your family. If you're at work, why not give it 110% and see what kind of production comes out of it versus, I've got nobody calling in, I'm going to check Facebook and Instagram and kind of fiddle around with this. And I did want to research that one thing for online, so I get on Google, and it's so much lack of production, and you don't understand. We did the time analysis worksheet with Clockwork, the book by a gentleman, Mike, I can't remember his last name, but it's amazing. You do the time analysis worksheet, and you go through everything you do during the day.
Right.
And when I did that, I was like, holy crap, I can't believe how much time I'm wasting.
Yeah.
And once you recognize that, it's a very annoying tactic to have to go through and write everything down, but it's effective.
Yeah.
I'll get you some of those worksheets, because it's
absolutely.
my team wanted to kill me when I made them do it, but
Right,
it's an eye opener.
But as an owner, watching somebody waste time to like get out,
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Like, because them are the same people that are going to whine to you, like, I didn't get this, I didn't get this, I want this, I want this, I want this, and that's all cool. Like, so the goals and actions or the goals and plans you have are goals and plans.
Yeah.
I can read every book in the world, never put anything in play. And
Right.
Maybe I know a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
With nothing. Get your hands out of your pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's funny how something so little like that can stick with you, and who knows how it's changed your career and your life just by one little thing like that. I love it.
Yeah, I associate it with so many things.
Yeah. It makes sense with so many things. That's
simple.
What would you say? Is some of the ugly truth? Because I like talking to business leaders and entrepreneurs about this, because what I see is everybody always sees the glory of the entrepreneurship. Like you make your schedule, but they also don't see if payroll, whatever it may be, or you've got to work extra hours. How are you going to get everybody motivated for that? They also don't see the bad with it. So it's not. Being an entrepreneur is great, and if you do it properly, you will have freedom like none other.
Right.
However, it takes a lot to get there, and so what would you say some of the biggest disadvantages you've seen over the years that would help other people that are going through entrepreneurship?
Jeez, the list is a mile long.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. The stress, the responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got employees, I mean, you're responsible for them, for their payroll, for their family, for their kids.
Other people's lives, yeah.
And that's tough. We, especially when we were starting out, I'd start to see the job board like this. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? So 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sweating, like, I got to do something, And fortunately for me, I've got something different. I don't know what it is, but I'll turn that around really quick. And
Right.
I've always been able to. But that's one thing, in the late hours, especially when I was starting. I mean, it'd still be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're trying to get roll form the steel, and we were hand bending trim to go install a roof at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
There's so many things that people don't see. I mean, but it's mentally taxing having to pay attention to all these things, wondering if you made the right decision.
Right.
Because you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And then you're going to fail, and then you're going to fail some more, and then you're going to fail some more. Then how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
People don't see the mental struggle that goes. I think that's one of the biggest things. It's taxing.
Yeah.
And it'll burn you out. I mean, it's just like getting beat up every single day.
I have that argument all the time because as you did, you've done the physical aspect, and I did the physical aspect too. As I started at 15 in a career as well. I was a janitor, so but working at 15 and working hard.
Yeah.
But I will say, there was times when we had good jobs when I started helping with assembly and whatnot, where I was going to college and we were allowed to work as many hours as we want. So I get up at 2, come in, start working on the shop, start cleaning, I get 68 hours in that week.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, which as you know, I would have the argument all day long that physical exhaustion is definitely equivalent to mental exhaustion. And it's really just as taxing. It's a different type of taxing, but it's still exhausting.
Yeah, so. It's true. When I told you to me that it would be relaxing for me to go work on a job right now, I keep telling the guys, and they call it bullshit. They're like, yeah, whatever, you know. I'm like, sooner or later, you know, because for me, I could go out and shingle a roof, throw my headphones in, and it would be peaceful as all get out, you know. They see you sitting at your desk trying to respond to these 50 emails, and every single one of them has a different thought that you got to go through. Okay, so I've got to decide this, you know.
Right.
Where are we going to do this? What are we going to do this? Oh, I'm late for this meeting. I got to go, you know. So-and-so's calling because you forgot, you know.
Yeah.
It just goes on and on. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for anything, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think that's few and far between, the people that can handle that, and the people that just say, oh, okay, I didn't realize, like, this ain't for me.
Yeah.
You know, when you can go to work, somebody else is responsible for your check. You know, your check's always going to be there the same day every week.
Yeah.
You know? I don't want to say it's simple, because especially the business that we're in is extremely hard work. Not everybody's cut out for it. Not everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's learnable, but you know it takes a lot. There's a lot yet. It's not just a walk in the park. You don't just get to get your business cards and whatnot. What would you say as far as what's your morning routine like? What gets you going? You know, because obviously I see some similarities here that I see with other people. Obviously, you come into the office, you're pumped up. So give me an idea. Give me your morning routine that really gets you going. Is there anything in particular you do, or you know, usually that's a difference maker for most people?
Yeah, my morning's the most important part of my day. It's going to dictate where my day goes. Right. So it's usually I get up 4:45, 5 o'clock, half hour, 45-minute workout, check my emails, respond to them. Be about 6 o'clock to 6:30. I'll get ready, 6:30 to 7. Get my girls ready, you know. So I get a little bit of everything. Yeah. But after the workout is the most important thing to me.
Agreed.
You know, because it's my time. Like, I don't give a shit about what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's quiet. I can listen to a podcast, or either that, or
mentally getting you ready.
Yeah, either that or just totally block everything out and put the loudest thing I can find on. Yeah. And that's peace time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because when you're busy all the time, you don't get peace time. Yeah. So that's the start of my day. Then usually I'd be at work 7:30, getting the guys out. 7:30 to 8, getting my stuff around, depending on who's in the office, quick meeting. Yeah. Then Wednesdays we have staff meetings and production, sales, marketing. So it all depends on the day.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's great, you know, because I think my team thinks I'm crazy as well. Like, I'll be researching something and send an email at whatever time. And for those who don't know, you and I are working on some projects together. And we're shooting an email to each other at 11 o'clock at night, right, and then turn around and responding at 6 in the morning in conversation. And you know, people who aren't doing that, they don't understand that. Right. You know, you're not quitting when just because everybody else is sleeping. You know, I love Arnold when he's like, you know, you don't get enough sleep, sleep faster. You know, just go ahead. And so it's, I mean, sleep's important. Don't get me wrong, because you know, insomnia is nothing to joke with, But you know, that's the difference between people who are willing to not fail, or when they fail, get back up. So,
yeah, my mom will catch me. She works second shift at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, whether we threw an ad out that day on Facebook or something, so she'll catch me on Facebook. I see you lit up. What are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm just checking to see, you know, what the stats are on this. Maybe check my email real quick, then go back to bed. Yeah. So yeah, then she'll call me the next day. Like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I was just
working.
I went back to bed. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. But, I got that one eye, like, you know, email that you're like writing or checking your stats. You're like still kind of asleep, but you're like looking. Oh, okay. And then you just kind of roll over. Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah,
So,
that's it. Yeah, that's, it's good in the middle of the night. Like, sweet, I got 20 more likes or whatever. It's
that's
fun.
right. I'm gonna rest peacefully for now. Yeah, absolutely.
That gives me a good 3 hours. Yeah.
What would you say your biggest mistake is as an entrepreneur?
Not being prepared.
Not being
prepared when I started. I mean, it was a nightmare. Like I said, my motivation. I always tell people I was way too motivated. I was going. At that point in time, I was going to take over the world with no plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
As we struggled, I really about got myself into a mess I couldn't fix. Multiple times.
Sure.
That was absolutely my biggest mistake.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would say was my biggest mistake is I wasn't willing in the beginning to give up responsibilities.
Yeah, that's hard.
I wanted to do everything until I realized I can't do everything. Yeah. And I'm not even good at everything.
Yeah.
So
it's hard because you want it done and you want to make sure it's at least done right and with the right attitude. And it's tough to give up. Right. Delegating is a very tough thing for a lot of people to give up, especially with your mindset.
Yeah.
So
that was the worst and best thing I did. So as I finally did it, like, all right, just go do it, and I had to give myself the feeling or the idea like, all right, you can fail. Whoever, make mistakes, I don't care, we'll fix it, just as long as it's not a mistake that you knew better type thing, and
a careless one.
Yeah, and as I started to do, like I said, I got thrown in the deep end. Here, go play with the wolves.
Yeah.
So I do that. I do that now because I want to see what your reaction is.
Right.
I want to see how you're going.
It's not always going to go perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't care if you screw it all up. I want to see that the grit. That okay.
Yep.
Then I can work with it.
Yeah.
We can do whatever.
That you didn't just give up and throw in the towel. You actually well, how do we fix it?
And we've talked about that give up thing.
Yeah.
I don't have give up.
Yeah.
And you
your vocabulary.
And it's rare. I don't know if it's my ego or what it is. Like I can't say, man, I just can't. I failed.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Yeah. I don't have it, and I think that's rare. I think far too often people get to a point and just not do it. Some people give up instantly, but some people will push and push and push, and just give up.
Yeah.
And with business, I mean, you push and push and push. If you're pushing on the same thing, maybe you need to figure a different route.
Yeah.
The innovation part of it. You go around it, go this way, go that way.
Talk to a couple people who like-minded things that are in different businesses. That's great for Yeah. It goes back to the old quote. Success is a journey, not a destination. And I think the truly successful people understand you're never gonna. You're this type of person too, I assume. You're never gonna just be like sitting there at the end of a day and be like, "Yep, I made it. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow I'm just gonna, not do. I'm done. I made it." That's not how it works. It's how can I improve? How can I accomplish more? How can I make my life better and others' lives better around us?
Right.
So,
I often think about business as a game.
Yeah.
I'd refer to Mario Brothers. There's always another level. You beat that game at some point in time. In a game of business, you don't beat it.
Yeah.
But you can put yourself to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, and just keep going. And at that point in time, everybody else is sitting complacent. Them so-called competitors are sitting doing the same thing they were, a year ago.
Yeah, they worked really hard 25 years ago, and now they're not doing anything. Yep.
I'm on coast mode. Like, cool.
That's fine. I'm glad you've gotten to where you want to be. That's okay, but I'm not satisfied.
I was going to say, you better pay attention.
Yeah.
Because everything. So that's the idea, setting the standard.
Mario Brothers is a good example too, because really, once you do beat it, what happens? You start over at level 1 with twice as many people trying to kill you.
Right.
So it's a very good example. There's always room for improvement, and the higher you go, the more haters there's going to be. So
that's true.
Yeah. What would you do as far as what advice would you give a new business person or entrepreneur? What would be your best advice you could give them?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Well, be prepared. Be prepared. Don't think it's all sunshine and butterflies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. Be prepared for whatever it's going to throw at you, and look a year ahead,
Yeah.
2 years ahead, 3 years ahead. You know, you've got to have a plan, and that's where I failed in the beginning. You know, I didn't have that plan. I would have had a lot smoother start probably.
Yeah.
Right now, who knows? But be prepared with all aspects. You know, and if it's not your cup of tea, if you don't have a knowledge of every aspect of it, don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Or do your research.
Yeah.
Do your research. Bust your butt. It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at it. Get started.
Yeah, you know, or go find somebody in a similar business.
It can help. Yeah.
Even now, I'd be more than happy, you know, if somebody wanted to start a construction company, if they wanted to come talk to me. I mean, I don't care. I'll give you an idea of what you should do and what you should look for, and especially with the construction field. I've had people quit working for me, like, I'm making you rich, I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go do it myself. Unfortunately, it's the same people you see in the paper with liens on materials and stuff like this, because they go out and do this job and make a couple $1,000, like, sweet,
Yeah.
I'm going to go put it down on his truck.
Yeah.
Well, you forgot that you got the material bill.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. So be prepared, don't be greedy,
Yeah.
and know that it's not all it's cracked up to be. I mean, it's really not.
Well, I think, yeah, don't take it lightly. It's
Yeah.
not. You're seeing, you know, entrepreneurism is great, being the top of your field is great, but just because you see XYZ in Cancun or in the Bahamas enjoying themselves, or you see that they have a nice vehicle, don't think that that's not free. That doesn't come for free.
Right.
There's a lot of behind the scenes hard work, lost sleep, health, who knows what that comes with it. And, you know, the thing that I always say is whenever I get a new person in here and I'm recruiting and talking to them, I want to be in your shoes, you know, in the next 2 years. I said, well, first of all, it's probably impossible to be in my shoes in the next 2 years. But let's say you want to be where I'm at, and they're always like, yeah. Are you willing to sacrifice and do what I did to get where I'm at? And 99.9% of people who want to be an entrepreneur are not willing to do that. You're not willing to work those hours. You're not willing. You're gonna lose sleep. You're gonna not. It's not taken lightly. And I think, and that's where people fall off, because they see. It's, you know, we always say it's 10, 15, 20-year overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see it.
That's true.
They know about you now. He just automatically, or they just automatically blah, blah, blah. Everybody will tell you, no, this is actually half my life now that I've been doing this.
Yeah.
And now we're getting to the point where I get to enjoy some of the benefits. But don't forget about those 20 years,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I've been doing this for 25 years now, you know, and I've had people, I had this one kid that asked me, he says, you got any advice on how to start a business? He started working for me. He was like, how long do you think I should work before I do? He's like what, like a year or two? And I was like, yeah, sure, do it. He was like, well, you know, I want this, I want this, I want this. I'm like, back up, you know. And then I told him, I was like, I've been doing this for 20 years, 25 years, you know, and I still got stuff to learn every day.
Absolutely.
You know, I've been beating you up with questions, you know, since we met 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you're not the only one.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to get, I hope I never get to where I'm just comfortable and I think I know everything, because that's the dumbest thing I would ever do.
Yeah, because it's going to change too. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. And you did mention the health thing. So how strenuous this is to be an entrepreneur. I've had lots of things, health issues and stuff like that, just because of the constant stress. I mean, it's crazy to worry about so many aspects, you know, homeowners, employees, and a bank account, you know, insurance, and, you know, how am I going to pull all this together? You know, that stress will beat you
to death. Yeah, it'll beat you to death if you let it.
It'll beat you to death. Yeah.
I love that The Rock always talks about, and obviously that's why I asked about your morning routine. I figured there was physical activity and working out in it. You know, The Rock always says that's his therapy. Yeah. You know, if I wasn't doing that, and Dwayne Johnson says, he's like, if I wasn't doing that, you know, who knows what would happen? Because you have to have an avenue to just get rid of some of the stress. And it's
Yeah.
and you know when it's been now 3 days and you haven't worked out,
Oh, yeah.
and all of a sudden the hair keeps getting grayer or whatever it may be. It's just automatic. It's crazy how that happens.
Oh yeah.
Give me one thing that you would give a younger Brett starting out. What would you tell yourself starting out? A piece of advice. You could go back in time.
Be prepared.
Okay.
Be prepared. Prep anything you're doing before you do it. If you're going to start a business, think it out.
Yeah.
Think it out. Attain the motivation. You know what I mean? And I think that fits with almost anything. My kids caught me off guard. Oh my gosh. I thought, everybody tells you these stories, this guy, this guy. I was like, whatever, what?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, everything everybody told me was true. I wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
And even with marriage, so it goes with everything. You get married, everything's happy, blissful. Well, there's life.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
life that comes and goes as you grow. You need to adapt.
Yeah.
Same thing in business. You got to adapt to what's going on. Did you get a new job? Did you're growing up. You got a mortgage all of a sudden, and they got kids. Be prepared.
Yeah.
Try to think it out ahead, and work towards it before you ever get there.
Yeah.
So I think that would be fitting.
The point, he goes into that a lot with Think and Grow Rich. You're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
What's your equal level of, if you want XYZ, what are you willing to give up for what's XYZ? You got to give up something to get here, and there's got to be give and take to get to that level. So I love that. That's good.
So, going back, I watched this motivational speech the other day, and it said 99% of the world only uses 40% of what they're capable of. So when you get in that 1% of people, you know what I mean, whether it be earnings or success or whatever. So success is justified in 1,000 different ways. It doesn't have to be money, It could be, just being content with life and being able to provide. But that 1% uses far more than that 40% of what they're capable of, And I would imagine that they're still not using 100% of it.
Yeah.
I don't know that you get to that point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't think, one of my biggest fears, and one of the things I talk about a lot when I go and do some talks on the road or whatever, one of the things is, one of my fears is I'm going to go and I'm going to meet my maker, meet my creator here at the end of the road, right? And he's going to be like, okay, Dennis, I just want you to sit down and watch this short video. This is what you did, okay? And this is what you accomplished, okay? Now, I just want you to look at this video now. Here's what I made you for, and here's what you could have accomplished with your capabilities that I gave you. And you're just going to be like, complete devastation, because you're going to be like, I could have done all that. And so that gives me some of my boost, some of my drive of, wow, think about, are you achieving even 40%? Are you? You think about your team, you think about the people that are giving, we watched a video on it this morning, but are giving 15%, 10%. Oh, well, I'm giving 15%, but if somebody's willing to do the other 5, I could drop down to 10%, and maybe it's still getting done. It's not me who's doing it, so it's just very interesting. So
yeah, I'm glad that popped up actually.
Yeah,
that's going into our meeting.
Yeah,
because I take more pride in the people around me succeeding. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? I often say I know what I'm capable. Which is bullshit too.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything stopping it.
Yeah. I tell my people that you go back to talking to your people and trying to build them up and get them on board. I talk about wasting time and not being productive. We're sharing everything. So if we get to the next level as a team, we're getting to the next level as a team. And I always tell every person that I'm interviewing or whatever, it's no fun on a yacht by yourself.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not doing this so that I'm out there in the middle of the ocean on a yacht. Yay, all right, I made it. Oh, shoot, wait. Why not take your entire team there, work as a team, build the best company and organization you can build, and everybody gets a piece of that. Here's the profit sharing. Here's whatever it is. Look at what we built together, guys. Yeah. And it's hard to get people on board like that. But when you do, wow, you move mountains. So
and that's that's one of the biggest rewards business-wise you can have. When you're sitting around, everybody's happy, everybody's financially stable,
Yeah.
wherever they want to make that be, you know. That's cool. You
It's
know?
very cool, very good feeling.
So this week in our meeting, I asked everybody, I said, do you guys know what you're worth?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm worth more. Whatever. I'm like, okay, go get it.
Yeah.
That's it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I'm willing to go after anything. I don't even care. It depends on the people who's around me, which I've explained to you. He's like, what would you do next? I was like, I don't know. It depends who I can put around me.
Right.
You know. And the other part of our meetings is always about team. Like, I can't do this myself.
Right.
I could do 1,000 interviews and whatever. I can't do it myself.
Right. Not the goals I want to succeed with. Yeah.
Yeah. You're stuck at the people you're surround yourselves with.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you are.
Well, I just got one more question. I'm going to wrap it up. What's a good book you highly recommend?
There's a bunch, really. I like the Can't Hurt Me,
Okay.
David Goggins.
Okay.
He's the only one to get through the Navy SEALs, Army Ranger. I'm not sure what the Air Force was. It's been a while since I read the book, but I love it. I mean, there was no give up. This
Yeah.
guy, I mean, no give up. Like,
And he just
whatsoever.
decided one day, right? Like he was he just
Yeah.
decided I'm gonna go. I'm sick of being out of shape and whatever. And
Yeah.
just like
Overweight.
like, just turned it around. It's just like, yeah, I'm sick of it. So
Yeah, you know,
I'm just
kinda
gonna go do it.
Throwing your middle fingers up
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
everybody, like,
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's cool, you know. And I read your book yesterday, You Deserve to Be Rich.
Oh.
That's a good book, too. I loved it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
But yeah, I could probably have a list of
Yeah.
it. But there were two that stick out to me right now.
Moral of the story is you're always growing. Reading is good. That's what a lot of people, you know. That's an important part. All the biggest billionaires are reading constantly. So.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming out today. How can people get a hold of you if they want to talk about whatever? What's the best way to reach Brett Wagner at Wagner Metals? I can talk to you. So.
Give us a call at 419-594-7445. You can email our company email, wagnermetal contacts.com, or you can email me directly, brettw@wagnermetal.com. Check us out on Facebook. We're pretty active there.
Okay.
Instagram. Check out our website, www.wagnermetal.com.
Thank you,
We're not hard to find.
There you go. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming out today and us sitting down. So thank you very much, Brett.
Perfect.
All
Thanks.
right. Thank you.